14 years old.
You were 14 years old?
14 years old.
And you came to Portsmouth then?
Came to Portsmouth as a juvenile. And they give me a knife. And the other guy came and they strangle him. And 2 times and the blood come out.
Yeah.
You can watch. And then I go to the cell there.
Yeah, and you watch?
And then watch. Told the 27, you what the 27 is, there's a knife for you. You must kill.
Number 25, Black Dolphin Prison, Russia. Russia is a country known for its brutal and rough prison system. You know it's borderline bad when it gets its reputation for being the worst prison in the world. Black Dolphin is near the Kazakhstan border, and it houses the country's most hardened and dangerous criminals. These include child herders, cannibals, and terrorists. When the prisoners arrive, they are blindfolded with handcuffs behind their backs. This is a strategy to prevent these prisoners from mapping out the area of the prison, in turn reducing their chances of escape. Prisoners do everything within their tiny cells: eating, exercise, activities, and comfort room trips. With all these conditions, prisoners are sure to break down and lose all hope of seeing a better day. They are reduced to the status of robots with beating hearts, and the saddest part of all of it is they have come to accept that reality. Number 24, North Korea Camp 22. The notorious Hoyer-Yong concentration camp, which gained international attention in 2012 after its warden defected to China, was an isolated prison for political prisoners and has been in operation since 1965. A large compound that holds 50,000 prisoners, it was claimed that 3 generations of dissident families have been imprisoned there to completely remove the roots. In addition, the penalty camp has subjected inmates to extreme torture and human experimentation, where they become lab rats for biological weapons like anthrax, bomb testing, and other brutalities. Number 23, Tadmor Military Prison, Syria. Dubbed by Amnesty International as the most oppressive prison in the world, with every aspect of it designed to dehumanize its populace, it became more infamous in June 1980, when President Hafez al-Assad ordered the slayings of all prisoners as retaliation for the attempted assassination on his life by the Muslim Brotherhood. The cleanup massacre that lasted for 2 weeks took the lives of some 800 to 2,400 inmates. Number 22, Bang Kwang Prison, Thailand. The Bangkok Hilton housed the Napinia chained inmates, many of whom went crazy due to the stress of the first month in detention. The most violent prison in all of Thailand houses many foreign prisoners and handles penalty row inmates. It is known for being overcrowded, understaffed, and having deplorable living conditions. Number 21, La Sabaneta, Venezuela. In one of the most brutal penal facilities in South America, violence is a daily occurrence. Besides being at the mercy of diseases, insufficient food and care, little to no medical services, and underpaid staff, inmates were also left to their own devices as they fashion weapons to make attempts on one another's lives. Number 20, ADX Florence Supermax Prison, Colorado. This maximum security prison was built in response to the attacks committed against the guards and staff of other prisons in America. Since prisoners are isolated from the staff and they cannot go anywhere, inmates suffer from psychological torture, leading some to self-destruction mode. Number 19, Diyarbakir Prison, Turkey. The world's most sadistic and forbidding penal institution has been referred to as having the greatest number of human rights violations per prisoner. Known for a great number of instances of physical and mental torture, it has also gained notoriety for its unlivable conditions, physical misconduct with inmates, and for incarcerating even children for life. To escape their situations, inmates attempt hunger strikes, committed self-hurt, and even set themselves on fire. Number 18, Gitarama Central Prison, Rwanda. Described as hell on earth, all prisoners were doomed to eat, sleep, live, rot, and breathe their last squeezed together with 4 men per square yard in the roofless brick box called the Gitarama Prison. Designed to house 400 people, the population boomed to 7,000 in the mid-1990s in the wake of the Rwandan genocide, and prisoners were left for demise there. Amidst dysentery and despair, prisoners stand cramped together under all-weather conditions, choking on the smoke of cooking fires and suffering from gangrene. They even resorted to eating each other's flesh out of sheer desperation. Number 17, Alcatraz, San Francisco, California. The Rock, or Devil's Island, is a prison hell that was built in the 1920s and was designed in such a way that escape was improbable. As the inmates lost contact with the outside world, they were subjected to hurtful and arrogant guards who imposed complete silence, as prisoners were not only disallowed to converse with each other, but to show their emotions as well. Number 16, La Santé Prison. Ironically, La Santé, which means health, is not a good place for prisoners' mental and physical well-being. as they were forced to live in deplorable conditions in overcrowded concrete cells with rats and lice. A virtual hellhole, this understaffed torture chamber of violence can make any person lose his sanity with the harsh daily realities of life. Out of sheer desperation, 122 prisoners took their own lives in 2002, and 73 more by 2003, as many swallowed drain cleaners to end their misery. Number 15. Gildani Prison, Tbilisi, Georgia. With its zero-tolerance approach, Georgia may have the lowest crime rates in Europe, but it comes at the cost of tuberculosis epidemics, savage treatment of inmates, and violent physical attacks in prison, specifically in Gildani. Number 14. San Quentin Prison, California. The oldest prison in the state, it opened in July 1852, where both male and female inmates were incarcerated. Nowadays, it is the largest penalty row for male inmates in the U.S. During the 1930s, corruption was rampant in this prison, where interracial riots became a normal occurrence and were encouraged by the guards. Number 13. Rikers Island Prison, New York. One of America's most notorious prisons, it was characterized by beatings, knifings, and brutal treatment, not only from the guards but also from inmates who were deployed as enforcers by the guards. A hotbed for violence and aggression, it gained media attention in 2007 when an 18-year-old prisoner was beaten senseless with a billy club by other teenage inmates as the guards looked on. It is also known for its cruel treatment of mentally ill prisoners who often turn to self-hurt. Number 12. San Juan de Lurigancho, Lima, Peru. The toughest prison in South America, it was built to house 2,500 inmates but now has 7,000 within its dilapidated walls. Lurigancho has a very lax environment where inmates can sell anything, from gadgets, DVDs, and everything marketable, including drugs. Cockfighting is a common sight as well as quenching physical thirst by visiting escorts known as nurses. Prisoners are not segregated and are left to their own devices, wandering around the facility committing slayings and other acts of violence. Number 11. Patak Island Prison, White Lake, Russia. This is the Russian version of Alcatraz, as it was isolated by the White Lake and was built to hold the most dangerous prisoners. Though they never have to fear violence from the guards or their inmates, the restricted life of living in cages and in isolation with no lavatories, nor washing facilities, surrounded by freezing cold water and snow, leaves the prisoners to deteriorate and become psychologically devastated. Number 10. Black Beach Prison, Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. Notorious for human rights offenses, this prison has become synonymous with guard brutality, malnutrition, overcrowding, and rat infestations. It has been common for prisoners to pass away from chronic disease, if not complete disappearance from the prison. Inmates are in constant fear of torture and prolonged beatings, which cause a number of untimely passings. Number 9. Nairobi Prison, Kenya. Built in 1911 for 800 prisoners, which boomed to 3,000 in 2003, this prison is one of the most congested in the world. This congestion has not only resulted in overcrowding, but also in problems with hygiene, sanitation, and general living conditions, where it would be a struggle to be physically and mentally healthy. The prison cells reek of sweat, human waste, and filth, with the stench of garbage hanging in the air. Number 8. Butyrka Prison, Moscow, Russia. The largest central transit prison of Moscow is known for its brutality. It held 20,000 inmates during the Great Purge, and thousands of them were neutralized after investigations. Its administration also resorted to violence every time the inmates tried to protest against anything. Besides the problem of overcrowding, as there could be up to 100 inmates in cells intended only for 10 people, it is extremely hot in the summer and also has problems with epidemics such as AIDS and tuberculosis. Number 7. Kamiti Maximum Security Prison, Nairobi, Kenya. Situated on a 1,200-acre lot, this prison has gained notoriety due to the unspeakable squalor that the prisoners are subjected to. The prison, which holds a number of political prisoners, has earned a reputation for instances of sodomy, beating of inmates to lifelessness, and epidemics where malnutrition, cholera, and ulcers were normal occurrences. Number 6. Vladimir Central Prison, Russia. Built in 1783, it became infamous for housing political prisoners during the Soviet Union era. Nowadays, the overcrowded and disease-infested prison is known for the sadistic torture that the inmates receive from the guards. Prisoners are forced out of their cells, ordered to put their hands on the wall, and given beatings so severe that they have to be dragged back to their cells, while others result in unfortunate demise. As if this isn't enough, they are also ordered to beat each other. Number 5. Camp 1391, Northern Israel. Camp 1391 is an Israel Defense Forces prison camp for high-risk prisoners in northern Israel, run by Unit 504 and less than an hour's drive from Tel Aviv. The existence of the prison was unknown to the public before 2003, and most information about it remains classified, though Israel's Supreme Court ordered the release of some information about the jail. Number 4. Montelupich Prison, Krakow, Germany. One of the worst Nazi prisons in Poland, it was used by the Gestapo all throughout World War II to house political prisoners, victims of the Gestapo street raids, deserters, and British and Soviet spies. From 1940 to 1944, an estimated 50,000 prisoners had passed through the prison walls, where medieval torture was employed as the principal interrogation method. After World War II, it became a Soviet prison where Polish soldiers from the Home Army were slayed and tortured by the NKVD. Number 3. Attica Correctional Facility, New York. Constructed in 1930, this maximum security supermax has held a number of the most dangerous criminals in the world. However, it became infamous due to the Attica prison riot on September 9, 1971, as the prisoners demanded better living conditions and political rights. An estimated 2,200 inmates rebelled and seized the prison, taking its 33 staff as hostage. The 4-day negotiations led to the passings of 39 people, including 10 guards and civilian employees. Number 2. Stanley Prison, Hong Kong. One of the 6 maximum security facilities in Hong Kong built in 1937, it was a popular place of carrying out penalty sentences before the Hong Kong government lifted capital punishment in 1990. Between 1946 and 1966, about 122 criminals were neutralized in the gallows of the prison. It also became part of the Stanley internment camp during the Japanese occupation, as a place of torture where 600 prisoners were slayed. Refugees from China who tried to cross the border were also imprisoned there, making its population grow to 3,000, well over its limits. Number 1. Carandiru Prison, Brazil. The site of the Carandiru tragedy in 1992, where riots triggered the mass slayings of inmates by the guards, became notorious for having an insanely high body count of 1,300 passings in the course of its 46 years in history. It was closed down in 2002 due to the campaigns of Amnesty International amidst reports of gross human rights violations that the Brazilian government could not answer for. That's all for this video, folks. See you another time.